inspired to push through? Because there's a spark in you. Breakthrough or bust. Welcome back to Breakthrough or Bust. We're so happy you're here. And I am so happy to have Katie Gaspari here of Katie Heals. Katie, tell us a little bit about Katie Heals.
Great. So Katie Heals I'm Katie, and I'm the master of habit change. So I take people from broke in their health to abundant in their health and wealth through updating their habits. So I'm a guide to generational health and wealth.
That is amazing. And so just in hearing that, I already know that you're somebody who has had a big breakthrough.
That's so true.
Probably a few of them.
Too many.
So let's dig into it. Can you think of what is your favorite struggle here? Well, and we often say challenge, right? We've been, and one of these, somebody pointed out that struggle is how we respond, but a challenge is something we can't avoid. So, maybe at the time you were going through it, you were struggling. So I still use both terms, but can you think of a challenge that you've been through?
Yeah, thanks. I believe our greatest challenges are our greatest gifts. And so my greatest challenge was about 4 years ago. I found myself sitting in the neurologist's office. I had been going to 18 doctor's appointments a week. I was dragging tired. I was anxious. I was overweight. I was working multiple jobs, and I thought I was doing all I could to heal, this insomnia, this anxiety, this depression, and all of these other things that started to arise, feeling lost, feeling very overwhelmed, and feeling very confused. And so that's where I was about 4 years ago. And it seems like such a long time ago, but that was my greatest challenge, because I was sitting there and he says to me, Katie, you will be disabled another 5 or 10 years. And I looked at him like, holy heck, I'm doing all the things. I'm going to chiropractor. I'm going to acupuncture. I'm going to physical therapy. I'm going to, pain management. I'm going for all the tests. I'm going to the neurologist. I'm doing all of the things, and I'm getting more sick. And all he could prescribe me was more diagnoses and more medications. And I just felt so lost and confused. And what is true health healing? How do we really, because I feel like society taught us to always look outside of ourselves. So I was looking outside of myself for healing. And at the same time, society's also taught us that you have to work really hard. So I'm trying to heal myself. And at the same time, I'm working my ass off, and I'm getting sicker, and money is just flying out the door because I'm just spending it on all these doctors and these co-pays and these injections and these, I'm going to a Chinese herbalist. So I'm doing herbs. I'm doing every single thing. And I'm feeling so confused, so lost. And like, who can guide me?
No kidding. So you're basically shooting all over yourself. You're doing all the stuff that you should be doing.
Right.
And just, tap into that a little bit. What is that frustration like?
Oh my, it's just not feeling heard. You don't feel heard.
Yeah.
You feel really, and when we talk about the birthing process before this call started, and you say some women, we wouldn't have a population if women were like pushing through, and then they're like, oh, I don't like this, because at one point I didn't really want to be here anymore, because I could not push through anymore, because I was doing what society put in they put healing in a box. You just go to the doctor and they tell you what to do, and you just do it and you get out better.
Yeah.
And I was living in that box, right? And nothing. And I wanted to give up. I really, really did. And I just started to tune into my intuition and started to listen to this voice I had never listened to.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're reminding me of, times in my past, like toxic jobs and all the, these things that you end up in these situations and you're just like in tears. Like, what did I do? I'm doing everything I thought I was supposed to do. What else do you want? And it's just exasperating and stressful. And how do you get out? And how do you change it when you're doing the right stuff? Yeah.
Right, totally. How do you change it? How do you get out? Right.
So, yeah. And so how were you able to, after all this time of looking outward and, getting your health and your healing from everybody else, how did you find the way to tap into your own intuition?
Great question. I actually started asking people in the health community, like, questions. And from there, I was starting to, almost put the puzzle together myself. Like, well, this person is still not feeling well, so they don't really have it. And I was like, well, they're not feeling well. Well, where is this information? And this voice I talk about, right? This intuition that I did not know existed, because society doesn't tell you to listen to your intuition. It says, look outside of yourself. You don't have any power.
We're very much a logic brained. Logic is what is admired in our culture. But we're starting to come back to intuition, and that was a transition that happened many, like mother's intuition and, this and that, as we moved into a more patriarchal time, that was frowned upon and, treated as silly. But now we've really lost our connection and we're sort of going back to it out of necessity.
Right. And so because at this point I'm disabled, nobody's hanging out with me. Nobody really visits you when you're that sick, unfortunately. Everyone's trying to live their busy life, right? And so I'm alone a lot. And when you're alone a lot and you're not watching TV because the TV makes you sick, and you can't go on the computer because the computer makes you sick, all of a sudden this voice keeps talking and it's like, you got to help people in your position. And I'm like, me? And I would laugh at it, like, me? Look at me. Like, this is horrible. And because of that voice, I started to look for true health healing information. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm disabled. I'm 31. I don't want to live anymore. What do I have to lose to invest a little bit more money in myself, but start to learn healing information? And so I started learning a little bit at a time, and I started to apply it. And this is where people get it wrong. They think you got to learn it all and do it at once. I started to apply it 1 week at a time, one thing at a time. And within 2 months, I was almost completely healed. I had energy.
Yeah, that is such a great point, because that's what happens. A lot of times we go into these furious searches, and then we get overwhelmed and we don't apply any of it, and we stick the book back on the shelf, and then it becomes shelf help instead of self-help.
And you never do it.
And you never do any of it, which is, another reason to have a coach, because they help you actually learn it and do it, apply it. But yeah, so that's such a great point. And that's one of the things I always like to say, bite-sized pieces. And I think there's that expression, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time kind of thing. Although I know it's horrible. I am not condoning the eating of elephants. But
I did not hear that before, but yeah, it is. It's bite-sized. And that's how I used to, when I was a teacher, you give the students bite-sized information at a time. And that's exactly what, as a guide, I do. I give my clients a little piece at a time, because you don't need to know everything. No. Right. But you have to apply it. Yes. And so that's what I did. And I just kept applying and applying. And, now here I am 4 years later, and I've completely reversed every single disease in the book. Heart disease, autoimmune disease, asthma. I used to have really thin hair, all of these things. I used to have a skin disease where I had like black all over my face. I used to have all of these things, and I thought they were me. They weren't me.
Yeah.
It's what happened when I lived a outdated lifestyle, because I call what I do a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle I'm teaching my clients. And so I was living an outdated lifestyle. I was stressed out, working a ton, focused on how I'm going to earn money versus nourishing myself and taking care of myself and doing what brings me joy and knowing that these things are going to show up for me, right? But we've been so taught to look outside of ourselves. So the key to healing is really to start to go in and start to listen to yourself and trust yourself. And you have to have a guide because you really do need support and accountability. Otherwise, you know, you push the boulder, you maybe do something and then it falls because you have something happens, right? We have so many things happen. You get a bad bill in the mail and you're like, fuck it. Or you get something in the mail and you're like, I'm eating the whole cake tonight. And then you just start eating the cake every week and you're back at it. And so you really need us to push through. And that's why we did it, right? To help people push through.
Yeah. And we got help.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
And it's just funny, you know, you brought up the teacher thing and it really brought me back to, you know, when I was a dance teacher and somewhere around the age of 5, can't becomes this predominant word in our vocabulary. I can't. All of a sudden we can't, like kids who would try anything, hit 5 and it's like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't. And this is what we take into our life. Well, and people might watch this and say, well, yeah, that's great. She could do it, but I can't do that.
Exactly.
And, you know, it's so funny because I would teach them in beginning dance, you know, how to do a pirouette. And they said, I can't do that. I said, you go into a 4th position, passe up, turn a quarter, you know, we would like step by step, and they would do it. And I'm like, well, what did you do? You just told me you can't do that. You just did it. What are you doing? And they're like,
exactly. It's like our beliefs are limiting us.
Yeah.
And so we're here to help them push through these limiting beliefs. And like one of my beliefs is, right, I was doing it all. But was I really doing it all? No, I was not. I was giving away my power to everybody else.
Yeah.
But I wasn't taking ownership for myself and my life. I was looking outside of myself like, oh, you must have the answers. I'm just Katie Gaspari, you know? And it's like, no.
What degree do I have? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I have the degree of living in this body.
Right.
So I am the absolute expert on it.
Absolutely. And that is a key essential. We are the expert of our body.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I feel like that is so important because so many people feel unheard, you know, when they go to the doctor, when they go to the specialist, they, you know, I hear it all the time from people that just that experience of, I'm really frustrated. I can't figure out something's wrong. This is not right. But when I go to the doctor, they blow me off. Well, that's
normal. Your age, or
exactly. You know what? No, that all that. Oh, for your age. Yeah, I cannot stand that for your age stuff. No.
I don't believe any of that.
I don't either. I don't live in pain.
I unsubscribe to that.
You know, and it's true. I hear people say, oh, once you get into your 40s, you have aches and pains. No, you don't.
That lifestyle. It's an outdated lifestyle that society has been living. Like that we've been living under this like very masculine dominant rule where we have to look outside of ourselves. And now it's like, no, we're coming into this like feminine, like we are our own guru. We know exactly what to do. Our intuition's going to lead us there. But along the way, you're going to need guys, you know,
you're going to need guys. And I've talked about this even in other, because I feel like trust keeps coming up in these calls. There must be a reason. What are the chances?
Yes.
100%. So, you know, the thing about trusting yourself is it's a practice. It's a muscle that you have to exercise. And until you get comfortable, it's going to feel uncomfortable. And, you know, you're not going to be sure if you're doing the right thing. And, you know, you've just got to really lean back and move along with faith, you know,
faith over fear and get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
You know, and it was uncomfortable for me to change my habits, you know, 3 decades of certain habits and being like, oh, this isn't right, or this isn't for my highest good. Oh, okay. And then as soon as you change it, I feel like 2 months is the magic number, Kalua. I
Really?
heal in 2 months. My client just healed stage 4 cancer in 2 months. Like, I almost feel like your body in 2 months will do wonders when you start to provide it with the right things.
Well, and they talk about, and that's another reason why I don't buy that whole, oh, your age. They talk about you're like a whole new person every so many days because the cells regenerate and it's like you're
Every 7
always
years.
being new,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's the magic right there.
It really is. And so, yeah. And so that's just really where it took me is like, oh, I started to listen to myself. I started to trust myself. And sure, you're going to have people on the outside who are like, well, you're not listening to the doctor. And it's like, but you got to remember your truth, right?
Yeah.
You tried all of it. It wasn't working. Now you're going to try this. And it's not like, I didn't I didn't stop going to the doctor, right? But I started to become my own advocate and doing my own research and applying it. And then I would go and, go for my checkup or whatever, and then listen to what he has to say. But again, so really it's coming back to ourselves and coming back to, trusting ourselves and really, like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, they just let these thoughts about we have this it's like we all think we're weatherman and we can predict the future.
Yeah.
And so we're not, right? And so stop predicting the future. You don't know what's going to happen, and it's okay. Like, it's almost like you're that little kid again, right? You're in innocence and you're just doing, you're just climbing the tree. You're not thinking about if you fall and hit your head on the way down. You're just doing it.
But I think that's such a great point for all of you fellow either current or former control freaks out there. I mean, we've all, right? I think a lot of times why we back down during that breakdown before the breakthrough is just that whole not knowing what's on the other side and not knowing if it's better or if it's not better. And, and maybe it's not better. But maybe that's just the next step to your better, like, and continue. And can you think of maybe once you got started, was there ever like a 2 steps forward, 3 steps back kind of feel?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. There is. It's just that's a process of your journey. You're going to take 2 steps forward and then you might get a kickback. But also that kickback is like, do you have trust? It's like testing your trust. And it's like, no, I've got this. So I remember, 2 years ago, I got really sick again with anxiety. And I was like, wow, I healed this. Like,
where'd this come from? Yeah.
Right. And then, but I just got curious and I started noticing things. And I started doing trial and error, and then I got rid of it. And now it's been 2 years and I haven't had it. So it's like, things will happen, but you have to have faith and trust in yourself, that the right people are going to, the right information came into my life right around that time.
Yeah.
So things happen, but you have to be open to it. So it's like we're constantly asking the universe for signs, but we miss 99.99.
Because I was just going to say to you, yes, because, I almost feel like sometimes, all the time we learn from the setbacks, from the mistakes, from the, that's where we learn the most. You remember the questions you got wrong on the test, not the ones you got right, So we're always learning. And I almost feel like something like that is to show you like, hey, look how far you've come. You haven't felt like this in a long time. All right, fix it back up, but now you've got the tools under your belt. Your mindset has probably changed. And now you're like, all right, regroup. What's going on? Let me become aware, scan. What's going on? Okay, let's fix. Boop, boop, boop. And you can move out of it much more quickly than you did the first time around.
That's exactly it. You're not in that stuck state very long because you have more awareness. You have more trust with yourself and the universe. And you become more open too, right? Like now when I see a sign, I'm like, oh, that's a sign. Oh, I have to talk to that person. Yeah. Oh, I should probably book a call with that person. Or I let me just call that person. Like you just start trusting yourself as sometimes as silly as it sounds, right? So it's really just building that muscle. Like, you know, I never really had muscles, right? So you work out and you start to get that muscle. So you didn't have a trust muscle.
Yeah.
Now you're going to build that trust muscle,
Yeah.
that you are a powerful creator being, and that anything you want, you can create. But these limits that society has placed on us, right? They put us in this box and we're stuck in this box. But once you break through that box to your intuition and trusting, and it's beautiful, you know, it's like
free.
People call it miracles.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool.
It's so
I don't
free.
believe it's miracles, but it's just who we are. We are so powerful, but we're also, that power also keeps us in the stuck state because our thoughts and our beliefs are so powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really a journey of really learning to trust yourself and not look outside anymore. Like, I don't have to, you know, go on WebMD anymore and get answers. Like, you're not getting the right answers there anyway. So I'm not going there anymore. You know?
You know, and it's funny because now, you know, even with, you know, as we know, I do the herbs and the teas, and, you know, when I first got going with it, it was like research, you know, and then it was still like, oh, I must learn more. And then, you know, at a certain point, I just went, oh, this herb just came to mind. There must be something I need with that, you know? And then I might even go look it up and be like, there it is. Yep. Thank you for the cue. You know, like it's just in there already. Everything is in you. You just got to let it, you know, but a lot of times we're so caught up overthinking it that we suppress the thought, and it never actually comes. It's like that, oh, it's on the tip of my tongue, but we can't get to it because we're, you know, crushing it.
We're too close to it, you know, and that's the thing. I was too close to my healing that I had to look and, you know, okay, wow, I don't know it all, and I'm not doing it all, and wow, look at all this other health healing information, and now I'm going to try this.
Yes.
But I was so hyper focused on, you know, but over that period of time, as I kept getting more sick, I was taking note, like, oh my God, this medication's making me nauseous. Oh my God, this medication's giving me a migraine. Like, this is actually not making me better. So it's really becoming aware of like, oh my gosh, like it's been years now. Like, no, like, so you're becoming aware, like, oh my God, you know, this isn't working, or, you know, my herbs should have been working better. But since I had, you know, was doing all, you know, so you got to come into balance, but you really have to just, to start to take a step, you have to take the first step. And if you think it's a sign, it's a sign. And act on it. You're not crazy. You're not making it up. You have to take the sign. Otherwise,
you're not silly. I feel like silly is the word to use here, because I feel like whenever somebody talks about like, oh, I had a feeling, or they're dismissed as silly.
Right.
And so you're not silly.
Yeah, like that. I said to someone today, I'm like, well, when you feel like you're making it up, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I'm like, take action on that, because that is right. Like, as crazy as it sounds, right? Like, thinking back now, 4 years ago, and I'm disabled, and my intuition starting to say, you're here to help people in your position. And I'm like, overweight, anxious, depressed, suicide, like all these things. And I'm like, me? And now here I am 4 years later, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is me. This is who I am. I'm a God, generational health and wealth. Like, I totally get it. But back then I was like, I had to go through it. Right. And then I came out of it and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to help people. Like, I totally clicked, but I was like, but I had to take the first steps. And so it was like my first steps from moving into, you know, the realm of like, the doctor has all the answers to, no, we have our own answers, is going from all these doctors to all these like naturopaths, right? Like the acupuncturist, the Chinese herbalist, like, you know, the chiropractor, biophysics, and then I'm like, oh, okay. So the body, you know, the body can heal in different ways. Oh, okay. Let me try some gua sha, or let me try some cupping, or, ooh, you know, like Kalua's happy mama tea. Like, that's so calming, right? So it's, you know,
it's good stuff for the nerve system.
Healing is a process. You might start here, and then, but if you're still here, you're stuck.
Yeah.
And that's where most of society is there. But, you know, going back to what you were saying, it's the logical mind. We've been taught we've been taught this.
Yeah.
So that's where the logic goes, but it's
Yeah.
actually, it's not the truth.
Yeah. And a lot of times our greatest frustration is because we've backed down. Like we got really close and we got scared. I don't know. It's like this fear of, sometimes it's a fear of success or being right, or the unknown, or just like, I think maybe even your own power, to feel and sense that part of yourself, that power within you that knows that. It's like, whoa, no, I'm just Kalua.
And it's self-doubt. It's like, I'm just Kalua. I'm just Katie. I'm just
Lisa.
And it's like, that's a self-doubt. And that's something that I work with a lot. It's like, how can I move through this self-doubt? Because look what all I've accomplished in 4 years. And look what I've helped people through. And it's like, okay, put the self-doubt aside and keep moving forward, because, sure, self-doubt probably at one point served me, but it no longer does.
Not now. Yeah. We're in a new time. It's time to forge ahead.
Push through.
So many times we back down, so we keep ending up back into that miserable spot again, right? We're like, we get there, we're like, oh no, and then we come back to it. We just keep doing that. We end up like, what is going on? So I talk about this, I always talk about this with the people who share their beautiful stories here, as how we compare it to giving birth, and that, right before you birth that baby or you birth that breakthrough is that horrible contractions that are just like, and obviously birthing a baby, you can't back down, but when you get to that breakdown before the breakthrough, a lot of us back down. So I always ask, if you were your own midwife, what would you have told yourself? Like, come on, push. What would have kept you pushing?
You're worthy of everything you want. It's that sense of worthiness. Like, I'm not worthy. And I really feel like you're so worthy of everything. And so that's what I would tell someone, is like, you're worth it. So whatever it is that you are looking to accomplish, whether it's healing a disease the doctor told you can't heal, whether it's starting a business, whatever, right? Having a family, you have to truly believe that you're worth it.
Whether people have told you you're not,
right?
Whether
Look
you
yourself in the mirror, I'm worthy, and take action from that place, not from the place of lack, of I can't have it, I'm not worthy, or I'm not enough, and really that's my message, is like, we are so worthy and we all matter, and we're here to create. And so you're here to create, and you're here to create what you want. So it's like, whatever you want, you can create. And so that's, people like, oh, it's a miracle, but it's like, no, I'm co-creating my life. I decided to be the driver of the boat, instead of letting the doctor drive it, instead of letting this health insurance drive it, instead of whoever else was driving my boat. I'm now driving my boat. And if I want to hire you as my doctor, you're going to get in the boat, but you work for me.
That's right.
You're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to say, I want this test, I want this, I want that. And if you're going to say no, I'm going to kick you out of my boat. And I'm going to find another doctor who's going to come in my boat and say, yeah, girl, you can have this test. You can do that, because I'm now driving the boat. So we are powerful creators, and we are worthy. And whatever you want to create, you can create. So for a long time, I was in that cycle, right? That stuck state, and you keep cycling in it too.
Yes.
You come back to the same thing. I kept coming back to another diagnosis. And finally,
and that's the thing. It's going to repeat until you get it.
Yes, it is. It is, peeps. It is. It will.
It will. It will repeat until you get it, until you hear it and listen. You have to listen too. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to listen. You have to be willing. And I feel like that's where society has pushed us away from, is like, we're so busy that we're not listening to ourselves.
Yeah, well,
So
I
we're
mean,
not
that's,
driving the boat. And
no.
like the TV's driving the boat, the magazine's driving the boat, your cell phone's driving the boat,
I mean,
big tech's driving your boat, but you got to be the driver.
it's not something we've been taught. We've been taught to disconnect from your body, from your mind, from your intuition, from all of it. Disconnect. You go to work, you do hard work, you get your paycheck, you have certain expectations, 2.5 kids, a dog, like
Health insurance, life insurance, financial advisor. You got to have all these things.
You got to have it. You have to have it. And then if you feel a pain that comes with age, take an aspirin or, like,
you're good.
And so this is what we have been programmed with for a long, long time. And it wasn't anybody's fault. It was to, generally it was to help us have the best life that we could have. It came from good intention. But as we, move forward as a society and we shift and we change, as we take more of that intentionality into our lives, this is the way to go. We have to really reprogram ourselves and now teach our children differently and, keep pushing through in a new way of living.
We're here to create this new way of living. It's like a new lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle that's less stressful, where you have more energy and you have mental clarity and you feel purposeful in the world. Like, I'm here for a reason. Like, you're not just here to sit in a cubicle.
Possible. All things are possible. You do not have to be miserable to earn a living. That was a shocking one for me.
Right. Like, I thought you had to work really hard and work 5 days a week and have 55 jobs, and you really don't. And so I just feel like we're worthy and we're the driver and we're powerful. So wherever you're focusing, I focused on a lot of ignoring, right? And so that it got louder and it kept getting louder, and then it got so loud that I was disabled.
I always joke about, when I was first out of college and the car would make a funny noise, I'd turn up the radio. Like, frick that, I don't want to know.
Perfect analogy.
Yes. But then what happened? Then I'm ending up spending 400, 800. Crap, I don't have that,
Yes, perfect. So, and I love that analogy. That's what I did.
Yeah.
For a very long time. I get that.
Yes. We all do. We all get it. And we've all been there, and that doesn't make us right or wrong or, anything wrong with us. We're, everybody is in a different place. And, if you're here now, it's meant to be. And that was another thing, you said something that really reminded me of that. There's a reason you're here now. You have a purpose and an intention for being here. So if you're feeling things, if you feel passionate about something, if you, just, feel called to do something, that's not an accident. And it's not you being silly again. It's your purpose. So it's okay. I give you permission. Katie, give them permission.
I give you permission, and I give you permission to not judge yourself. Be curious and notice and become self-aware. You don't have to judge. It doesn't have to be you don't have to be the judge, you don't have to be a harsh critic. Just curious and intentional.
Absolutely. And not worrying about, what other people think of you is none of your business. So there we go.
Yeah. As I was healing, I could definitely share with everybody. I had people all telling me what to do. And I was like, oh, you healed? Oh, you've healed? Oh, you've healed? No, you haven't. So no, I don't know. And you really got to push them aside. And you really just got to focus on you. And it might sound selfish because society has also taught us that it's selfish, but it's not. You really have to, and I did. There was people I had to push away because they were trying to pull me down. And you really just got, and it's all about building that trust, building that muscle, and driving your own boat. You're the driver.
I love it. Katie, this has been amazing. As always, I love talking with Katie. She's so full of wisdom. Love it. So, so if you ever want to reach out to Katie, by all means, I'll have some information for her. And of course, you're always welcome to reach out to me. And, just remembering, keep pushing, keep pushing to get to your breakthrough, because there's a spark in you and you so deserve to get there. So gonna send off now and wish you well and love. Mwah!
You matter.
Thank you.